What is bounce on a wedge and how can it help you? Well, everybody knows that different wedges have different lofts. You get your pitching wedges 46, 48 degrees, gap wedges 50, 52, and then your higher loft of wedges 54, 58, 60. You can have nearly any loft you want really. But what a lot of people don't realise is that every wedge has its own amount of bounce. And bounce really is the angle between the leading edge of the club and the very bottom of the sole. So if I could come in a wee bit closer here and just show you this. Really, whenever you're looking at it from the toe end here, you can notice how the leading edge, this part, is lower down than this part here, the top of the sole. So whenever that is set on the ground like this, you can see how the leading edge is up higher than the sole, the very bottom of this sole part here. And the reason for that, golf club designers put bounce on your wedges to literally stop the club digging too deep in the turf or the sand. And there are varying degrees of bounce, so you can get a club with low bounce or zero bounce. Some wedges will have zero bounce. But for people who struggle with fat shots, they want to be using a club with high bounce. One of the downsides of having high bounce then is that if you are somebody who likes to manipulate the club face when you're playing your wedge shots and open the face up, well, that bounce is going to affect how you can get the leading edge to the bottom of the ball. If I just get this board and show you. So, we set the club on this board. You'll notice how the leading edge sits up a little bit up off the board because of the bounce. And this club here, this has about 8 degrees of bounce. So you can get a club that goes up to maybe 14 or higher, 16 degrees of bounce. So the leading edge would sit up a lot more like this. And you'll see as I open the face, as I move this face open, how much more pronounced the leading edge is raised up off the ground. So it makes it that bit more difficult to get the club to go underneath the golf ball. But again, going back to why bounce is on your wedge, well, it's there to prevent the club digging too deep. It really helps people who hit fat shots, and the analogy I always use to explain it is, if you imagine a seaplane and it has floats on the wings, to stop it going too deep into the waters, to keep it up on the surface of the water, try to stop it digging in and diving into the water. So that's what bounce does on a wedge. And the next time you're out playing, if you are in a bunker that has very deep sand or fluffy sand, what you want to do is you want to open your club face to really utilize the bounce so that it helps the club, or it helps you to stop the club digging too deep. Another way the bounce will help you, the next time you are on a tight lie around the green, or if you played a lot of links golf, you probably want to start with low bounce wedges anyway, but if you're out playing and you get a tight lie, well, the last thing you want to do when you're chipping around the green or pitching close to the green is reach for your sand wedge or your lob wedge, because it's more than likely that they have a decent degree of bounce, somewhere between 8 and 10 degrees, usually 12 degrees. So what you actually want to do is maybe reach for your pitching wedge, or if you're a better player and you're able to be a bit more control your club face, instead of addressing the ball and opening the face or even addressing it square, close the face down a little bit. That'll help the leading edge to get down to the golf ball. Because when you're on that tight lie, the bounce lifts the leading edge up, so it makes it that little bit more difficult to get that leading edge going under the golf ball. Okay, so that's not something you're going to have to worry about at this time of year, but in the months ahead and in the summer next year, maybe keep that in mind.